Hi everybody, I'm Wendy, and today I'm going to talk about 5 different sea vegetables. Sea vegetables are the norm in Japan, the Welsh, the Scottish, the Irish, in Iceland, First Nations people, Korea. It's part of their diet. It's normal. Here in North America, we're really missing out on a really important, it's a major food group that we're missing out on, and especially because it's a mineral source. And I'm thinking about, somebody's phone is going off, but it's okay. So today I have several examples, and I want to talk about that they have 10 to 20 times more minerals than land vegetables, and our soil is depleted. So, things like people will go, well, minerals, I'll take my minerals, well, minerals, if you have a heart attack and you end up in the hospital, the first thing they do is inject you with a gram of magnesium. So your minerals are really important. That's what keeps your heart beating. And they have the omega-3s. They have B vitamins. Ounce for ounce, sea vegetables compared to land vegetables, just blow it out of the water, literally, as far as the nutrition, the vitamins and minerals, much more. So I was thinking about, originally, like during Chernobyl, during the Japanese meltdown, when Chernobyl happened, the sea vegetable sales in Russia skyrocketed. And the reason is because sea vegetables take heavy metals out of your body. And that's really important for us right now because, research is showing that the Alzheimer's and the dementia are mercury toxicity. And you have to get it out. It doesn't just sit there latent. Actually, viruses of all kinds feed on it. And then we have all the autoimmune issues happening. So what's interesting is the Channel Islands, which are between England and France. During World War II, the people there was a shortage of food, of course. So they were eating Irish moss, which is also called carrageen. And their anything to do with bronchial just plummeted. So they were much healthier because of that. I'm thinking of when I first was introduced, when I first turned plant-based, which was, my entry was macrobiotics into plant-based. And I had these sea vegetables that I now had to eat. But I was concerned about my daughter and her weight gain. And I actually phoned the U.S. Department of Agriculture to find out how many calories were in sea vegetable. I look back on that now and I got to laugh because really, I didn't realize, we're talking 39 years ago, I didn't realize that it was about the quality, not the quantity. It was about, the healing power of the foods. I was just looking at calories and I've got to put weight on her and oh my God. So my first cooking teacher, Mary, was from Ireland. So sea vegetables, that's part of the Irish culture. And she came to visit us on the coast, the Gaspé Coast, which is the east coast of Canada. And we went foraging for sea vegetables at low tide. The harvest time is between May and August, and there are 3 colors, red, brown, and green. And so there it was dulse and Irish moss, or carrageen. And we're talking now 35 odd years ago, before internet and all this stuff. And I'm down in a little country town next to the seacoast. The only thing they ever did with seaweed was pull it up from the beach and put it on the garden, because they knew that those minerals nurtured the garden. I mean, even today, you can buy products for your gardens, and the vegetables just double their size. So So we went, and it's really heavy. You know, you have to go at low tide, and so the sea vegetables or seaweed are really heavy. And we put them in plastic bags and brought them back, but then you have to dry them out. So we spread them out on the lawn, and we had them all drying. Well, everybody in town thought we were from another planet. You know, what do you do? But the interesting thing there, now I can go to a health food store there now, and there are people that are now harvesting and selling. Another thing about sea vegetables, which I find very interesting, is like wild blueberries, which are so important for our body, wild blueberries compared to cultivated ones are day and night. You can burn a wild blueberry to the ground and it'll come back on its own. And that's the resilience you want. Sea vegetables are they're very prolific, they're very flexible. That's the sort of energy we want in our bodies. Well, sea vegetables come from spores. They're on rocks, and if they're not harvested, the waves, the storms in winter just take them away, and then they come back on their own. So like wild blueberries, they have that. They're a total gift when you think of it, because they're just going to come back and grow on their own. They're not cultivated or anything like that. So, you know, 10 to 20 times more minerals than land vegetables, and our soils are so depleted. So to me, it's really, really important. But the other big thing is the fact that they chelate. There's sodium alginate in sea vegetables, which chelates the heavy metals and takes it out of our body. So then people will ask, well, what about the sea and the stuff in the sea, and how can that? The sea vegetables we have here right now from California that I got Shane to bring in have been tested. But even without that, they clean up the water around them, and they literally take in the toxics and then sort of like diffuse them. So even if you were to eat a sea vegetable that might have a little bit of mercury, let's just say, you know, out there, it won't release it in your body. They're like a sponge. It'll go in your body, it'll collect more, and then it'll take it out of you, but it will not release it in you. So that really isn't something to be concerned about. But now the companies, because of the general public, are testing and making sure everything's okay. And you know, getting the radiation, like the meltdown in Japan, you know, that radiation didn't just happen the next day and then stop. We're still getting it. It takes a long, long time. So having a soup, like you've just had a taste of a soup, with kombu in it. Kombu, there was a hospital during World War II, once again, when they bombed Nagasaki, and everybody was having miso soup, which means either a wakame sea vegetable or a kombu, and then miso in it. Well, they had no of the effects of radiation afterwards. So that's just like when Chernobyl happened and the sales of sea vegetables skyrocketed in Russia. Ideally, it would be lovely for everybody. You've now had, you know, a soup that has kombu in it, so you've had your dose of let's get rid of the radiation today. But it would be nice to have a soup or a broth. Now the broth, I made a vegetable-based broth, has the kombu as the base in it. And it has shiitake mushrooms, which are another really, really important medicinal food. Not the fresh shiitake, the dried shiitake. And the best dried shiitake are the donko, D-O-N-K-O. The donko, you want, when you look at a shiitake mushroom, you want that cap to be nice and round. Sometimes you'll see a package and the mushroom's totally flat out. You don't want that. You want a nice top. And you have to pre-soak them to soften them up, to cut them, and you never keep the stem. You cut the stem off, just so you know for future. And if right now we don't have the dried shiitakes in the store, I'm working on getting them, but in the meantime, you can get them from a place called Gold Mine Natural Foods out of California, or you can even get the donko ones on Amazon for now, just so you know. So that, you know, a broth like this every day, And broths like that are really important. Like if you have people who are sick, or if you have people going through chemo and they're having trouble eating, that would be fantastic because they're dealing with the chemo. So that's going to help clean them out at the same time. Now there's certain sea vegetables. I have one here pre-soaking because there's something I want to show you. So what we have, okay, so we have dulse. And this we have at the store. We don't have the flakes right now, but it comes in flakes, which is ideal for, I'll sprinkle that in a green smoothie. Dulse is the highest in protein. Sea vegetables are very high in protein, 38%. That's high. So they're the highest plant form of protein. So I'll put this in a green smoothie. I'll sprinkle it on a salad. And another thing is you don't need a lot. You know, I would do a tablespoon for about 3 days of smoothie for me. So if I were just doing it on my salad for the day, a teaspoon, just to give you an idea. Dulse is also high in B12. It has B12 in it. So that's another thing. But every sea vegetable has vitamins and minerals in it. They're all high in protein. This is just the highest one, you know, just so you know, okay? So it comes in two forms, and there's going to be a salad here. The red cabbage, cucumber has dulse in it, just so you know when you taste later on, okay? Then, of course, we have the kombu, which is in this broth, which is the base of a squash soup I made. Kombu has glutamic acid in it, which is a flavor enhancer. So anything you put kombu with, it's going to enhance the flavors. You're cooking beans from scratch, kombu is a must, okay? And you just need a piece like that, okay? And I just reconstitute it for a minute. I put it, you can make a soup broth by putting a piece like that in a pot of soup. I put 2 pieces like that in this soup, just so you know, for today. And boil it for 10 minutes, and that's your soup broth. Now, you don't have to keep it in. I do. I just take it out, dice it up, and put it back in the pot. So, beans, when you're cooking beans, you always need a piece of kombu in your beans because it breaks down the fat. It makes the beans more digestible and less gaseous. So, it's just par for the course. I always use a piece of kombu when I'm cooking beans. All right, so, and they're an enhancer. Put them in stews, too, because they're going to enhance whatever you're cooking it with. Now, wakame. Wakame is considered the woman's sea vegetable because it's great for the reproductive system. Has folate in it, too. And it has, I'm trying to think of these benefits because I can mix them up. The one thing you need to know about it, and I've pre-soaked some because it's totally different from the others. So,
how do you spell that one?
Wakame, and we have them. These are the. You can go to www. We have them in the store because I've known this company for about 15 years. I've been ordering from them. And it's a small family company. What I love is when I look at sea vegetables, I look to see how clean they are. I mean, I've bought some over the years that just looked like people didn't care, you know. But these, you look, to me, from my experience, I look at these and they're nice and clean. And the kombu, you know, to me, that's nice and clean. I've seen some pretty... Same company.
Where are they at?
They're out of Mensadino, California. We sell them here. Do I have?
Would you pass a piece around?
Oh, I'll pass the packages around so you can take a look at these.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Here, and then just
Okay.
so you can see what I'm talking about. So the wakame, what's different about it, okay, it's been reconstituted, but you see it has like a stem. Can you see that? You don't want that. Not that but it's tough, it's hard. It's like taking the stem off of a dried shiitake. It's tough, it's hard, you don't want it. I just cut down both sides. and discard that. But that's the only one that has this sort of thing in it, just so you see. Wakame. Okay? So, and you don't need a lot. I mean, this was a couple of pieces, and I'm going, oh my Lord, look how much, once it's reconstituted. And if you eat, like dulse can be eaten out of the package, nori can be eaten out of the package, of course, and also sea palm. You need to drink more water, because remember, when I'm doing it, I'm reconstituting it here, okay? I'm just trying to, I also want to show you, these aren't the best shiitakes, but at least they've got a round head on them. Okay, just to give you an idea of what those look like, because they're so medicinal. So this has, all of the sea vegetable has alginate in it. And alginate is the one that takes the heavy metals out of our body. So, but sea palm has the highest amounts of alginate, just like dulse had the highest amount of protein. They all have it. So it's another example of why, just like land vegetables, you wouldn't just eat broccoli every day. You would switch it out. And ideally, at least one dish of this a week. I mean, when my daughter had her first consultation in macrobiotics with Michikushi, it was 2 sea vegetable dishes a week. So I will make it, but I'll eat it for a couple of nights, you know, so I'll have enough for the next 3 nights, and I've had a little bit of sea vegetable. So this one has the highest amount of that. The wakame also has the omega-3s in it, which is good. So this is a great Ocean Harvest, this company. You can go to their website, which is www.seaweedmermaid.com, but it's on the package. And you can get recipes from them. Another thing about kombu is great to put in your bath. Yeah, a warm bath with kombu is like bathing in the sea. So, and you would take that piece of kombu and also just rub it all over you, because you want that glutinous alginate on it, on your skin. So, another thing to think about. Now,
What did you say the wakame was used for?
it's a woman. It's called it doesn't mean that men shouldn't eat it, but it's used in miso soup a lot.
So it's used in soups.
Soups. I have it here today in this, which is sort of we'll see how it turns out.
Okay.
Sort of like it's almonds and some wakame in this, and you could just put it on a cracker. This here is it's Tohum Tahini, which is my favorite tahini. This Tohum Tahini. I mean, tahini is good anyway, but Tohum it's roasted. And sesame seeds, your calcium. It just takes, it's a bit more expensive, but I'm addicted. It does take the tahini. I mean, I literally take a banana and just in a bowl, put this in a bowl and eat it like that.
Is that organic?
This one, God, I don't know if it's organic.
Because once and again is organic.
Once again, I know the taste. I'll have to check. I haven't got my glasses on, so I'll have to check. So this is nori, dulse flakes, 1/2 you don't have it on your recipes. It's 1/2 cup of dulse flakes, 1/2 cup of tahini, and 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, ginger juice. So I grate the ginger, squeeze it out until I have 3 tablespoons. That's what this is. So you would just have that with like a cracker. And what I wanted to show you was, other, like, just to slowly at least start getting into using sea vegetables, that they become, like, for the Japanese, just part of the diet, So the things that we have, and I also have, this is like a Jell-O, and I have a topping for it later when you do taste testing. That's made of agar-agar. So instead of using gelatin, which is meat-based, this is made of several different sea vegetables, and it's used for all kinds of gelling. Okay, so that's agar-agar, and this is the topping for it, which is a cashew sort of cream. But we have things like, I'm sure you've all seen these little nori packets. It's great to take with you. You're rushing off somewhere, or kids going to school, or going to work. You're getting your nori. Nori is really high in calcium. We also have the shakes, for the condiments, for putting on your food. I'm just trying to give you different ideas of how to start incorporating sea vegetables, because they are, they're so important in our diet, and here in the West we've been missing it. It's a great survival food. Think of it, it's dried. When you store it at home, you put it in a glass bottle. That's the best way. And they keep forever. It's full of nutrition. I mean, it's easy to travel with. It's light. If someone were into like a survivalist thing, you're going to want to have sea vegetables as part of it, because that's what the First Nations people would. They'd go to the coast, they'd harvest it, and it was light. It's so light to carry.
Are those flakes in your hand only sea vegetables?
There's sea vegetables with a little bit of sea salt. Here, this is a kelp one. The gamasio one, we can get in one that has, because gamasio is sesame seed, sea salt, but we can get one that also has a combination of 3 sea vegetables in it, which would be nori, wakame, and maybe kelp or kombu, I think. What else do I have here? Here's another one. We have this one in the store too, a dulse one. And another way too is something like this. Kelp Crunch. It's a great little snack bar. It's real clean. Been around for years, but it's a great way to get some sea vegetables. I'm just trying to show you.
Carry that?
We carry this one. Yeah.
Where?
Right at the cash.
Oh.
Right at the cash. So, it's a great, I wish I could emphasize how important it is to have sea vegetables. And so, the miso soup, you can never go wrong with a miso soup. And miso soup is so simple to make. It's basically wakame in water, you could even just do a few scallions and carrots, and at the end, the miso. And if you're doing miso soup, please get a really good miso. This will last you a long time. I picked up from the back, when I first came here, we were only using the 3-year barley miso, which is an excellent, but not if you're gluten sensitive. That was the one that Michikushi, anybody coming in with cancer, he would recommend the 3-year barley, because it's the longest fermented. Another thing, if it's just for a sauce or something, but if you're talking healing and you're talking miso soup for healing, you want it to be in a glass. South River Miso is some of the best. It's a family business once again. Massachusetts, they make it the traditional Japanese way. Go to their website, www.southrivermiso.com. You'll see how they make it the Japanese way. They have recipes. These 2 are gluten-free. So even if someone with soy, you get a chickpea one. I'm trying to think. It's just another thing about miso. If for some reason, and it doesn't really have to be refrigerated, you just need it to keep it in a dark place. If it gets mold on it, no problem, just scrape off the mold, it's still good. This is a salt. I used to make miso soup where I would take Bree's portion out first, because she had the least amount of miso. Never boil miso, ever. You simmer it at the end, because you'll kill those good bacteria in miso that you want. It's a probiotic. I'd take hers out and she just had 1/4 teaspoon of miso in her soup, just a little bit. And then usually women, it's about 1/2 teaspoon. You don't want to go too salty. And men, of course, want more, like a teaspoon or more. A pot like this, I'd put a nice big heaping tablespoon in.
You put it in pretty much at the end?
You always put it in at the end, because you want it to simmer and not boil. But I want you to get a good quality one. You don't want a miso that's absorbing the plastic container it's in. You want the glass. And if you check these people out, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just really good quality.
Wendy, are you going to comment on iodine and thyroid issues?
Yeah,
Because I've read some
it's
studies-
huge. It's huge.
I've read some studies that talk talk about if you have Hashimoto's, it's like pouring gasoline on the fire. So it's like, what do? You know? And who do you
Well, you got to get, if you have Hashimoto's, you got to, first thing is most important is getting rid of the heavy metals in your body. Usually these are an Epstein-Barr virus, which there's 60 varieties of it, so that's where it's coming from. So what the viruses feed on, because if they're latent in your body, okay, but what they feed on is our fat. Our North American, we have a high-fat diet. Even people who are plant-based, if they're eating a lot of nut butters all the time, it's a high-fat diet. And so the heavy metals in your body, the mercury, which happen every time, if you've still got mercury fillings, every time you have a hot drink, some of the vapors escape. Every time your teeth are clean, you know, and you never want to take out your mercury fillings all at once. That is not a good idea because that's setting up a big detox of metals. I did it myself in the 90s over a 5-year period. So that's more normal. But so we've got these. There's mercury in medications. There's mercury in vaccinations. There's aluminum foil. Everybody's wrapping their food in aluminum foil. On and on. Pesticides, herbicides, dioxins. So the body, you know, the liver can only do so much. So then the fat gets onto these chemicals and heavy metals, and viruses feed on them. That's their food. They love it. So the whole point is lowering the high-fat diet, getting the heavy metals out, which is the iodine is awesome in sea vegetables, especially like dulse, iron and iodine in dulse, for thyroid issues. But if someone comes and they're already on thyroid meds, well then they can't do the sea vegetable because it messes up the medications they're on. So ideally, before anything like that ever happens, because the whole thyroid issue is skyrocketing right now, and the Hashimoto's and all this, the body doesn't attack itself. The body really is trying to heal if we would work with it. So this is the best form of iodine is from sea vegetables, the most absorbable form. Another thing is like they have, some of them have the B12, but also there's a chemical called S-gotol, I think it is ESTERGOL, something like that, in the sea vegetables that helps vitamin D in our body be better absorbed. Another thing is to absorb your vitamin D, you need magnesium, and sea vegetables have the magnesium. So I hope it's all coming together to show you that this is a really important addition to our diet, and getting for long term, you know, things are getting more polluted, to just helping our body detox daily, which is a lot on a small base, which is a lot easier for it. I think I've given you choices of what the sea vegetables are. We covered, well, you also know the nori is what is wrapped in sushi. I don't eat sushi because of the mercury in the fish, and I don't eat fish, but I make plant-based sushis. The ones that kids love the most, at least when I was attending a plant-based camp, was they like the filling to be a nut butter with sauerkraut. And it sounds really strange, but sauerkraut cuts the fat in nut butters. And if you've never tried a sandwich with a nut butter and sauerkraut, try it. I mean, it sounds so weird, but try it, and you'll see. It works. It works. It does work together. So nori, like I just did, I just cut it up on top of the soup. And aesthetically, I like that, like winter squash soup like that, the orange, and then you have the black nori stripes on it. Because I do, when I'm cooking, you want to work with pleasing to the eye for people, because they're going to go, oh, I'll try that. So, and the nori snacks. So that's how you can get nori. And it would be impossible for me to do a class on making nori rolls, or because we'd be here for a couple of hours with all the prep and everything going on. So we've covered the nori, we've covered the wakame. Wakame, and a couple that we haven't covered, and I don't have samples here, are hijiki. Hijiki is also a Japanese sea vegetable. It's known for healthy hair, skin, nails. Use very, very little of it. It's got a pretty strong taste, hijiki, but I do like it. It's a nice one. And another is arame. And arame is very similar to silky sea palm. They're just a different name, but they're very similar. It's just like wakame and kombu are like sister and brother. Okay, they're very similar in that way. I think that, the protein that most people don't realize how high it is. That pound for pound, the vitamins and minerals, land vegetables and sea vegetables, also sea vegetables are very similar chemically to our blood. They're very grounding, they're very alkalining. So like taking a bath with a bit of that's going to be very calming, it's going to be very alkalining, which is important because we want to be more alkaline than acid, because usually an acid body is that's a play field for viruses and diseases. And I've covered anything unless someone has any questions, because I think then we can go to tasting and making sure that people that haven't gotten recipes get their recipes, and taste what's here. See what you think. Don't expect to like everything necessarily, and my feelings aren't hurt, because these are, no, but really, these are new tastes, and new tastes take time. And another thing, too, is that when you're generally eating standard North American diet, when you change, your taste buds change. And my experience of that was, and I did it, because it was a matter of life for my daughter. So I changed overnight. But when I was younger, I used to just love peanut butter. And a couple of years into eating plant-based, I was at a friend's house, and I was looking for something to eat. And it can get very difficult. So they said, go look. And I looked in the pantry, and the only thing I saw was peanut butter, and it was Jiffy peanut butter. But so I thought, okay, I'll try this. Now, I've been a couple of years. So it's interesting, because when you experience yourself the effects, instead of someone just telling you, it does make a difference. And I tasted that. And you could have sent me to a desert island and I would have eaten peanut butter alone. I tasted that peanut butter, and it tasted terrible because it had sugar in it. And I was now used to eating nut butters that were just the nuts, and so your taste buds do change. The cleaner you eat, your taste buds do change. So when someone has never tasted a sea vegetable before, it's like your taste buds are going to change. And I've gone through periods of my life where, like, say it's the fall or something, and all of a sudden I'm going, I have to eat some sea vegetables. I'm craving them. I'm craving that grounding. I'm craving that alkalinity. It's a great addition. It's easy to do. I hope that with the recipes and just some ideas that, it's something you'll start thinking about, and just a little bit. Even if it's sprinkling dulse a bit, or, nori sheets, snacking on those, but just to start thinking about adding them. Because it's an important food. It's a very important food with what's going on, with all the heavy metals that whether we like it or not, we have to deal with somehow. So, it is interesting that there are solutions out there. We just have to be willing to be open to them. But I personally think this is a huge one. The heavy metals and the pesticides and how we're going to deal with that, I think it's huge. And this is just a gift. And that it regrows itself, it's obviously a gift. So thank you for that, and we'll do some taste testing, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is it okay to make a batch of, say, like the broth and then freeze it? Or is that not a good idea?
You know what? Better than not at all. You eat it fresh for like 3 days, and you're going to work, you're working for whatever. It's better to have some frozen. I always had a backup green smoothie frozen, just because you don't know, and I'd rather have it than not have it. So, I would always try go fresh, because fresh is the best. It's like celery juice. I mean, every hour it goes down in potency, so it's really good to drink it right away. I would never recommend freezing that, because the potency is, but something like that, yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I have,
Do you have more of the pumpkins?
pardon?
Do you have more pumpkins?
Oh, yeah, I gave some at the beginning because they were here before I started. But anybody that hasn't received recipe cards, and I'm going to start you with a broth and some soup tasting, and everybody else is going to try the other stuff, okay? So we have these, which will work. I have forks, plastic forks and spoons here, napkins, and just serve yourself. These are all for serving, so don't anybody eat off these for your, So this is the dessert. This is the Jell-O, but made with, it's a Canton, is what it's called. This is the topping for it, or not. You can or you don't have to. This is a carrot salad, and this has the sea palm in it. This one has the dulse in it, and it's red cabbage and cucumber. These are just some of the crackers we have at the store, the sea vegetable crackers we have. These have sea also, by the way. So that's another choice. Yes, they are gluten-free. I don't have my glasses on, but I know they're gluten-free. So the crackers, you could just take a knife here and put a little bit of this on the cracker, and you could do the same thing with this, okay? And I think that, and for the other people, we have a soup and we have some broth to taste. All right? So go for it. And I'm going to get...